History is not the story we think we know. A single object, buried for millennia, can shatter our entire timeline. You are about to witness 25 unearthed artifacts that challenge everything we have been taught about our past. By the end of this journey, you will see human history in a completely new light. We will examine a 2,000-year-old computer, a map that shows an impossible continent, and a metal that should not exist. These discoveries force us to question the very nature of progress and the secrets still hidden beneath our feet. What does it truly mean to discover something that should not be? The Antikythera Mechanism was not just a simple clockwork. It was a labyrinth of interlocking bronze gears, a miniature universe captured in metal, recovered from a Roman shipwreck near the Greek island of Antikythera. This device from the 2nd century before the Common Era could track the cycles of the moon, predict solar eclipses, and even calculate the timing of the ancient Olympic Games. Its precision engineering was so advanced that nothing comparable would appear again until the intricate mechanical clocks of 14th century Europe. How could such a profound understanding of the cosmos and machinery simply vanish from the historical record for over a millennium? This object stands as a silent witness to a level of technological achievement that our history books never prepared us for. It forces a humbling question. If we have been so wrong about the mechanical genius of the ancient world, what other secrets are we missing? This mystery of lost knowledge pulls our search from the depths of the Mediterranean Sea to the icy wilderness of North America, where another artifact tells a very different story of forgotten connections. Far from the complex gears of the Antikythera Mechanism lies a much simpler, yet equally baffling object. In the sands of ancient Mesopotamia, archaeologists uncovered a small clay jar, inside which sat a copper cylinder and an iron rod. This unassuming assembly, known today as the Baghdad Battery, dates back to the Parthian or Sassanid period, around 2,000 years ago. If this jar was filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or wine, it would have created a chemical reaction capable of generating a small electric current. The effect is simple, but its implications are profound. Could ancient artisans have possessed a rudimentary understanding of electricity? Some researchers suggest it might have been used for electroplating, putting a thin layer of gold or silver onto other metals, a process we thought was invented millennia later. The true purpose of this jar may never be known for certain, as no written records explain its function. Yet its very existence challenges the straightforward story of scientific advancement. It suggests that sparks of knowledge could flare up in the ancient world, only to be extinguished and forgotten, leaving no trace in the historical record. This is not just a forgotten battery, it is a symbol of how fragile technological progress can be. It forces us to wonder how many other simple, brilliant ideas were lost to time, and it pulls our gaze from the Middle East to a discovery in a completely different part of the world, one that hints at connections across vast, impossible distances. This single Norse coin discovered on the coast of Maine is a historical whisper of incredible journeys. Known as the Maine penny, it is a genuine silver coin minted in Norway during the 11th century, yet it was found nestled among the remains of a Native American settlement. Its presence there, centuries before Christopher Columbus set sail, is a tangible, if debated, piece of a much larger puzzle. We know the Vikings built a small settlement at El Ants Ox Meadows in Newfoundland, but this coin was found much further south. How did it travel so far from its point of origin? One possibility is that Norse explorers themselves ventured further down the North American coastline than we ever realized, perhaps trading with indigenous peoples and leaving this small token behind. The other, equally fascinating explanation is that the coin moved through vast and sophisticated native trade networks that stretched across the continent, passed from hand to hand over hundreds of miles until it reached its final resting place. Either scenario forces us to redraw the maps in our minds. It suggests that the pre-Columbian world was not a collection of isolated civilizations, but a place of unexpected and far-reaching connections. This small piece of silver tells us that the oceans were not absolute barriers, but highways for a few daring explorers. The story of these forgotten connections does not end with the Vikings, however. An even older document suggests that this kind of world-spanning knowledge existed long before. The Vinland Map presents a puzzle not of metal or stone, but of ink and parchment. For decades, it was hailed as a revolutionary document, a world map from the 15th century that depicted a mysterious landmass in the western Atlantic it labeled as Vinland. If authentic, this map would offer stunning proof that knowledge of the Norse discoveries in North America had reached European cartographers long before Christopher Columbus. It would mean that the Old World was, at least in some circles, aware of lands across the ocean. The controversy, however, lies in the very substance of the map itself. Scientific analysis has raised serious questions, with some studies suggesting the ink contains a modern pigment that would be an undeniable mark of a forgery. Other researchers contest these findings, arguing the results are inconclusive. This intense debate over its authenticity forces a continuous re-examination of how geographical knowledge was shared and preserved in an age before instant communication. Whether the Vinland Map is a brilliant medieval original or a masterful 20th century fake, its very existence compels us to question the official narrative of discovery. It highlights how a single document can challenge our entire understanding of who knew what and when. This quest to decipher the true maps of the past leads us to another artifact, one that suggests ancient explorers might have possessed a shockingly accurate picture of our world, a picture that should have been impossible for them to see. Drawn in 1513, a fragment of a world map created by the Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis presents a geographical impossibility. This chart, compiled from older source maps that are now lost, shows a landmass at the bottom of the world with a coastline that is startlingly accurate to the continent we know as Antarctica. The profound mystery is that Antarctica has been buried under a thick ice cap for millions of years, its true shoreline completely hidden from view. How could a 16th century cartographer have drawn the Queen Maud Land coast with such precision, depicting the land as it would appear without its immense glacial covering? The map suggests its creators possessed knowledge of the continent's topography from a time when it was last ice-free, a period dating back tens of millions of years. This is not a simple error or a lucky guess. It is a data point that defies any conventional explanation. It forces us to consider the existence of a prehistoric civilization with seafaring and cartographic abilities so advanced that they could survey the entire planet, preserving their findings in charts that would be copied and recopied for centuries before finding their way into the hands of an Ottoman admiral. The Piri Reis Map is more than an old piece of parchment. It is a ghost image of a lost world, a direct challenge to our understanding of human history and the rise of science. It implies that our own age of discovery was merely rediscovering lands that had been mapped in a forgotten epoch. This notion of a lost, technologically sophisticated culture becomes even harder to dismiss when we examine an artifact not of parchment, but of an impossibly durable metal. The sleek wooden form of the Saqqara bird feels startlingly out of place among the traditional artifacts of an Egyptian tomb. Crafted from sycamore wood around 200 years before the Common Era, This object was long classified as a simple figurine of a bird, perhaps a ceremonial falcon. But a closer look reveals features that defy this simple explanation. Its wings are straight and aerodynamically shaped, unlike the stylized wings of other bird depictions from the period. More strikingly, it possesses a distinct vertical tail fin, a feature that real birds do not have, but that is absolutely critical for the stability of an aircraft. When scaled up and tested in modern wind tunnels, replicas of this design have demonstrated a remarkable ability to achieve stable, unpowered flight. This is not merely a toy, it is a functional model of a glider. The controversy, of course, lies in its intent. Was it the inspired doodle of an ancient artisan who understood the principles of lift and stability by observing birds in flight? Or does it represent something far more radical, a scaled-down version of a larger, working contraption that has been lost to time? The idea of ancient Egyptian aviation seems like pure fantasy, yet this carefully carved object sits in a museum, silently challenging our assumptions. It forces us to wonder if the spark of invention, the desire to conquer the skies, flickered much earlier than we dare to believe. This profound question of lost technological knowledge finds a chilling parallel in an artifact made not of wood, but of a metal that seems to defy the very timeline of human industry. The iron pillar of Delhi stands as a silent, rust-defying sentinel to a forgotten science. For over 1,600 years, this 23-foot-tall column of pure wrought iron has endured the heavy rains and humidity of India, yet its surface remains astonishingly smooth, showing only the faintest traces of oxidation. Modern engineers would expect such a structure to have crumbled into red dust centuries ago. The secret lies in its unique chemical composition. Ancient Indian ironsmiths, working in the 4th century of the Common Era, crafted the pillar with an unusually high amount of phosphorus, a result of their specific smelting techniques. Over time, this phosphorus helped form a thin, invisible, and incredibly stable protective layer on the metal surface, a passive film that actively shields the iron from the corrosive elements. This was not an accident, but a masterful application of metallurgical knowledge. Creating such a large, pure iron object required a level of technical skill and control that would not be seen in Europe until the Industrial Age. This pillar is not merely an ancient monument, it is a permanent challenge to our assumptions about technological progress. It forces us to ask what other engineering secrets, what other formulas for creating impossible materials were discovered, used, and then lost to the passage of time. This theme of a forgotten, advanced understanding of materials and construction finds a breathtaking parallel in a structure that is not made of metal, but of stone. Deep within the river deltas of Costa Rica, hundreds of stone spheres rest in silent, geometric perfection. Ranging in size from a small melon to over 6 feet in diameter and weighing up to several tons, these objects are so precisely spherical that their creators achieved a level of accuracy that rivals modern machining. Fashioned from a hard igneous rock called granodiorite by a pre-Columbian culture over 1,000 years ago, their existence poses a dual mystery. How were they made with such flawless symmetry using only stone tools, and more importantly, why were they made? The sheer effort required to quarry, shape, and transport these massive orbs suggests they held a significance far beyond mere decoration. Some theories propose they were arranged as astronomical observatories, their alignments marking celestial events. Others suggest they were symbols of power and status for powerful chiefs, or that they represented cosmic bodies in a grand, spiritual design for the landscape. Yet with no written records from their creators, their true purpose remains locked within their smooth, unyielding surfaces. They are a testament to a sophisticated understanding of geometry and stoneworking that seems to appear from nowhere, serving a function we can only guess at. These silent spheres challenge the narrative that ancient Central American societies were solely focused on survival, revealing instead a drive to impose perfect, abstract order on a chaotic world. This profound inability to understand the message of an ancient people is echoed even more starkly by an artifact that is covered in writing, a script that has defied every attempt to read it for centuries. The smooth, unyielding silence of the Costa Rican spheres is echoed by a different kind of mystery, one etched in clay. On the Mediterranean island of Crete, the Phaistos Disc sits behind glass, a perfect circle of fired clay from the Minoan Bronze Age, roughly 3,600 years old. Its surface is not carved but stamped on both sides with a spiraling sequence of 45 distinct symbols. There are human heads, birds, flowers, and shields, each a tiny, perfect impression. This is its ultimate enigma. The script is unique, a writing system found nowhere else on Earth. It appears fully formed on this single disc and then vanishes from the archaeological record without a trace. For over a century, the world's best linguists and cryptographers have tried to crack its code. Is it a hymn, a law, a story, or a simple inventory list? No one can agree on even the most basic premise, not the language it encodes, nor the direction in which the spiral should be read. The Phaistos Disc is not a damaged book missing pages. It is a complete library of one. It represents a total cultural dead end, an entire way of recording thought that flourished and then disappeared without leaving a single relative behind. To stand before it is to feel the profound weight of history's silence, a message screaming at us from the past in a language we may never understand. This frustration of an unreadable text makes us yearn for a sound, any sound from the ancient world, a yearning that leads us to an artifact that might have filled the air with its own strange and beautiful music. While the Phaistos Disc remains stubbornly silent, another ancient artifact speaks a language of stars and cycles. Unearthed by treasure hunters in Germany, the Nebra Sky Disc is a stunning bronze medallion inlaid with gold symbols, crafted over 3,600 years ago. It is not merely a decorative piece, it is the oldest known portable map of the heavens. The gold inlays are not random, they form a precise cluster representing the Pleiades star group, flanked by a crescent moon and a full sun or full moon. This configuration is not just a picture, it is a functional calculator. By aligning the disc with the actual sky, its Bronze Age creators could determine the optimal times for planting and harvesting, synchronizing their lunar calendar with the solar year. This device proves that the so-called barbaric tribes of ancient Europe possessed a sophisticated, scientific understanding of the cosmos that rivaled the civilizations of Egypt and Mesopotamia. It was both a practical agricultural tool and a sacred religious object, blending the line between science and spirituality in a way that feels profoundly modern. The Nebra Sky Disc shatters the old narrative that advanced astronomical knowledge was born solely in the sun-baked deserts of the Middle East. It reveals a network of celestial wisdom stretching across the continent, a shared human endeavor to read the clockwork of the universe. This profound connection to the cosmos, this almost otherworldly knowledge, finds a strange parallel in an object made from a material that should not exist. The Nebra Sky Disc reveals a mind that could map the heavens, but another discovery suggests a hand that could shape iron in an age when no such hand should have existed. Found in the 1930s in Texas, the London hammer was discovered completely encased in a solid rock concretion. The hammer itself, with its wooden handle and iron head, appears perfectly ordinary, a tool any 19th century blacksmith might have forged. The profound mystery lies in the rock that entombed it, which geological analysis suggests dates back to the Cretaceous period, a time over 100 million years ago when dinosaurs roamed the Earth. If the encasing rock is truly that ancient, then this simple tool is an impossibility, a human artifact from a time long before modern humans ever evolved. The immediate, skeptical explanation is that the hammer is not nearly as old as the rock, that it is a more recent tool around which a hard mineral concretion formed relatively quickly. Yet the completeness of its encasement continues to fuel debate, making it a powerful symbol for those who question the infallibility of our geological timelines. It forces a difficult conversation about how we date the past and whether our methods are as precise as we believe. Could an object fall into the wrong layer of time, becoming sealed in stone that predates its own creation? This is more than a debate about a single hammer. It is a challenge to the very structure of history, suggesting that our chronological framework might have cracks wide enough for entire anomalies to fall through. This chronological puzzle only deepens when we encounter an artifact that is not out of place in time, but one that contains knowledge seemingly from the future. The story of the Dropa stones is a legend that archaeology cannot confirm, but one that imagination refuses to let go. According to a tale that first surfaced in the mid-20th century, a Chinese archaeologist exploring the remote Bayan Karaula Mountains in 1938 stumbled upon a series of ancient graves. Inside were the skeletons of small, strangely proportioned beings, and alongside them hundreds of stone discs, each with a hole in its center, resembling primitive phonograph records. The story deepens with the claim that each disc was inscribed with a spiral of tiny, nearly microscopic hieroglyphics. When these glyphs were supposedly translated years later, they told an astonishing story of a peaceful people called the Dropa, whose spacecraft crash landed on Earth 12,000 years ago, stranding them forever in this alien landscape. Mainstream science has universally dismissed the stones. No credible museum holds a Dropa disc, and no peer-reviewed study supports their existence. They are widely considered a complex hoax, a modern fabrication, or perhaps a case of natural limestone concretion called Loess discs that were misinterpreted and given a sensational backstory. Yet, the power of the Dropa legend does not come from its factual accuracy, but from what it represents. It is a perfect artifact of the human psyche, embodying our deep and enduring desire to find proof that we are not alone in the cosmos, and that our ancient past is far more spectacular than we ever dreamed. This persistent longing to find cosmic clues in ancient objects does not end with a disputed legend, however. It finds its most famous and tangible expression in a real artifact that sits in a real museum, an object so anachronistic it seems to have fallen out of time. The Coso artifact began as a mystery sealed in stone. In 1961, 3 rockhounds in California's Coso Mountains cracked open what they thought was a simple geode. Inside the hard, layered shell, they did not find the expected crystalline cavity. Instead, they discovered a ceramic cylinder surrounding a magnetic metal rod, all encased within a hexagonal casing. It looked for all the world like a 20th century spark plug. The immediate, thrilling conclusion was that this modern object had been encased in rock that geological analysis suggested was over 500,000 years old. The implications were staggering, pointing to time travelers or a lost advanced civilization. This object became a perfect example of an out-of-place artifact, an OOP art, an item that seems to defy its historical context. It captured the public's imagination, a tangible piece of evidence that seemed to turn our timeline upside down. Yet the story did not end there. Decades later, a more thorough investigation identified the object definitively as a champion spark plug from the 1920s. The mystery of its encasement had a far more mundane explanation. The hard material surrounding it was not an ancient geode, but a type of concretion called a hardpan nodule, which can form relatively quickly around a modern object left in the right mineral-rich environment. The Coso artifact serves as a vital cautionary tale. It reminds us that the initial, most exciting interpretation is not always the correct one, and that rigorous scientific analysis is our best tool for separating genuine historical mysteries from modern misunderstandings. Yet, even as a debunked object, its legacy is powerful. It demonstrates how a single, anomalous find can ignite fierce public debate and force a re-examination of our methods. The line between a revolutionary discovery and a simple misinterpretation is incredibly thin, a tension we see clearly in our next artifact, one that is undeniably ancient, but whose purpose remains one of history's most heated debates. While the Coso artifact was a mystery solved, the Voynich Manuscript is a puzzle that refuses to be cracked. This dense, 240-page book, carbon dated to the early 15th century, is written entirely in a script that has no known counterpart in human history. Its alphabet is composed of elegant, flowing characters that form words and sentences with a structure that seems logical, yet no one has ever determined what any of them mean. The text is accompanied by bizarre and beautiful illustrations that only deepen the enigma. Page after page is filled with drawings of plants that do not exist, their leaves and roots arranged in impossible configurations. There are intricate astronomical diagrams showing unknown constellations and strange biological sections depicting tiny, naked women bathing in a system of interconnected green tubes. For over a century, the world's most brilliant codebreakers, including those who cracked military ciphers during wartime, have applied their skills to this book and failed completely. They have found patterns consistent with a real language, yet the meaning remains perpetually out of reach. Is it an incredibly elaborate and expensive hoax designed to fool a medieval patron? Could it be a coded pharmacopoeia of lost herbal remedies, or a secret alchemical text where the illustrations are symbolic rather than literal? Every theory collapses under scrutiny. The manuscript's profound resistance to modern analysis is a humbling reminder that the past is not an open book. It stands as a monument to the fragility of knowledge, proving that an entire system of thought can become utterly inaccessible, its voice silenced forever. This frustrating encounter with unreadable nature leads us to another artifact, one that suggests ancient peoples may have possessed a startlingly different understanding of the living world. Etched into the stone walls of the Hathor Temple at Dendera, a single relief sparks a debate that divides the world of archaeology. One interpretation sees a profound religious symbol, a lotus flower from which a snake is born, representing the moment of creation in ancient Egyptian mythology. But look at it from another angle, and the image transforms into something shockingly familiar. The flower becomes a glass bulb, the emerging snake a glowing filament, and the stem a cable running to a box held by a kneeling figure, looking for all the world like an ancient priest operating a power source. This is the Dendera light. The mainstream view offers a compelling symbolic reading, deeply rooted in the known context of Egyptian spiritual life, yet the technological interpretation refuses to fade. Could this be a literal depiction of an electric light, a device that allowed priests to illuminate the deepest, darkest chambers of the temples without filling them with smoke from torches or oil lamps? The image does not exist in a vacuum. There are no soot stains on the ceilings of some of these sealed inner sanctuaries, a practical detail that fuels the speculation. This is not just a debate about one carving, it is a fundamental clash of worldviews. Do we interpret every ancient image through the lens of myth and ritual, or do we allow for the possibility that some might be technical diagrams of lost inventions? The Dendera relief forces this dialogue, reminding us that our reading of the past is always a choice. And if such a choice points to the use of artificial light, it leads to an even more pressing question. What could have powered such a device? The search for an ancient energy source becomes startlingly concrete with our next artifact. High on a wall within the temple of Seti I at Abydos, a cluster of hieroglyphs presents a spectacle that seems to defy time itself. To the modern eye, the carvings appear to depict a helicopter with a clear rotor and tail, a submarine, and even a futuristic jet plane. This astonishing sight is not a message from a lost civilization, but rather a historical accident, a stone canvas that has been rewritten. Egyptologists explain that this is a perfect example of a palimpsest. Centuries ago, the original hieroglyphs praising the pharaoh were covered over with plaster, and a new set of carvings were inscribed. Over time, that plaster has crumbled away, leaving behind a chaotic but entirely natural overlap of the older and newer symbols. Our brains, hardwired for pattern recognition, assemble these random, intersecting lines into the familiar shapes of modern technology. This phenomenon, known as pareidolia, is the same instinct that lets us see faces in clouds or animals in rock formations. The Abydos helicopter is a powerful lesson in how our own perceptions can actively shape and sometimes distort the story we tell about the past. It is a reminder that not every mystery is a secret. Some are simply illusions created by the slow, patient hand of time. This visual enigma, born from overlapping messages, sets the stage for a different kind of puzzle, one where the pieces are not carved in stone, but painstakingly assembled by hand from thousands of fragments. The perfect spheres of Costa Rica find a controversial echo in the forests of Bosnia. Here, a collection of large, rounded stones has ignited a fierce battle between two very different ways of seeing the world. Proclaimed as the oldest man-made spheres on Earth by researcher Semir Osmanagic, these objects are said to be evidence of a lost, advanced civilization. Their smooth, symmetrical forms, some towering over 10 feet tall, certainly look like they were shaped by intelligent hands. The sheer scale and apparent perfection suggest a purpose we can no longer comprehend. Yet, the majority of geologists tell a very different story. They argue these are not artifacts at all, but rather natural concretions. In this process, mineral-rich water percolates through sedimentary rock, depositing a natural cement that can, under the right conditions, form remarkably spherical shapes over millions of years. The debate is not merely academic, it strikes at the very heart of how we interpret the past. It reveals the powerful human tendency to see intention and design in the natural world, especially when faced with forms that feel too perfect to be accidental. This conflict between archaeological passion and geological analysis forces a fundamental question that must be answered before any grand narrative can be built. Is this the work of a human mind or the slow, patient artistry of the earth itself? Every artifact we encounter carries this same silent question, a challenge to look beyond our initial awe and seek the truth, no matter where it leads. This essential struggle to separate genuine human creation from natural wonder becomes even more critical when we examine an object whose very material defies the known history of technology. The Ica stones present a gallery of impossible history carved in dark andesite. Found in Peru, these stones are covered with intricate engravings that seem to show humans living alongside dinosaurs, performing complex heart surgeries, and using advanced astronomical tools. According to their original promoter, a local physician, they were discovered in a secret cave and created by a lost, intelligent civilization. The images are undeniably compelling, offering a vision of a past where ancient peoples possessed knowledge that rivals our own. Yet the story began to crumble under scrutiny. Investigators found that the stone's surfaces showed fresh carving marks, lacking the patina of great age. Eventually, the very farmers who sold the stones confessed, admitting they had created the engravings themselves using modern tools, often using illustrations from comic books and textbooks as their models. They were responding to a booming market for curiosities, crafting exactly what adventurous tourists and researchers wanted to find. The Ica stones are not ancient artifacts, but they are a powerful cultural artifact. They demonstrate how a captivating story can become more real than the facts, feeding a deep human longing for a past that is more mysterious and spectacular than the one we are taught. This saga serves as a crucial lesson in separating our desires from the evidence, a necessary caution as we move from a known hoax to an object whose very substance is an authentic and unresolved puzzle. Buried alongside the bones of an ancient mastodon, the Aiud aluminum wedge presents a paradox made of metal. Discovered in Romania in 1974, this object was found in a layer of earth dating back tens of thousands of years, a time when humanity was supposedly using simple stone tools. The wedge itself is composed of an alloy of aluminum, a metal that requires a complex and energy-intensive industrial process to produce. The method for creating pure aluminum was not invented until the 19th century, making this artifact's existence in the distant past seem utterly impossible. The immediate and most logical explanation is that it is a piece of modern machinery, perhaps a tooth from an excavator bucket that somehow became mixed into the older geological layer. Yet the circumstances of its discovery, embedded deep within ancient sediment, complicate this simple dismissal. If this object is genuinely ancient, it shatters the accepted timeline of human technological progress. It suggests that the knowledge of advanced metallurgy could have been discovered, applied, and then completely lost, not just for centuries but for entire geological epochs. This forces a humbling reconsideration of the nature of innovation itself. Is progress a steady, linear climb, or is it a cycle of brilliant flares that ignite and then die out in the darkness of time? This profound question of lost cycles of technology finds a strange and beautiful parallel in an object that is not made of metal, but of crystal. The Mitchell-Hedges crystal skull presents a paradox of perfection. Carved from a single block of pure quartz, its surfaces are so flawlessly smooth, and its features so anatomically precise that it seems less like a carved object and more like a phantom made solid. For decades, it was celebrated as a masterpiece of ancient Mesoamerican art, a relic from a lost civilization possessing knowledge and tools far beyond what historians believed possible. The legend grew, suggesting it was a vessel of mystical power or a repository of ancient wisdom. Yet the true mystery of the skull lies not in a forgotten past, but in a much more recent one. Scientific examination revealed tool marks consistent with modern, high-speed rotary instruments, not the hand-powered abrasives available to pre-Columbian artisans. This masterpiece of lapidary art was almost certainly crafted in the 19th or early 20th century. So who created it, and why go to such extraordinary lengths only to let their work be mistaken for an ancient wonder? The identity of the carver remains unknown, a ghost of modern craftsmanship. The skull's story is a powerful lesson in how our desire for the miraculous can sometimes blind us to a different, more human kind of genius. It shows that the line between a world-changing archaeological find and an exquisite modern forgery can be terrifyingly thin, a line drawn not in stone but in crystal. This same blurring of time and intention haunts an artifact that appears to record a disaster not born of earth, but of the sky itself. The dagger buried with King Tutankhamun is far more than a golden treasure. Its sleek iron blade holds a secret that reaches beyond our world. While the young pharaoh's other possessions were crafted from gold and bronze, this weapon was made from metal that fell from the sky. Modern X-ray analysis confirmed its otherworldly origin, revealing a specific mix of nickel and cobalt that is the undeniable fingerprint of a meteorite. In the Bronze Age, the knowledge to smelt iron from terrestrial ore was virtually non-existent, making this material rarer and more precious than gold itself. Ancient Egyptians saw meteorites as divine gifts, physical pieces of the gods sent to Earth. This was not just a symbol of power, it was a piece of the cosmos resting in the pharaoh's hand. The true marvel, however, is not just that they had the material, but that they possessed the advanced skill to forge it. Working meteoric iron is incredibly difficult, requiring a precise understanding of temperatures and hammering techniques to shape the tough, crystalline metal without shattering it. The fact that they crafted it into a lethal, finely balanced blade proves their metallurgical prowess was far more sophisticated than we ever credited to the Bronze Age. This celestial connection, the idea that human history was literally shaped by falling stars, finds a different kind of expression in an object that did not come from the sky, but instead trained its gaze upwards with breathtaking precision. The Farnese Atlas holds the weight of the cosmos in stone. This 2nd century Roman statue shows the Titan condemned to bear the heavens on his shoulders, but it is the celestial globe he supports that is the true marvel. Carved across its marble surface is a detailed chart of the ancient Greek constellations, their positions and forms captured with astonishing accuracy. This is not merely a symbolic representation, it is a precise snapshot of classical astronomical knowledge. The globe is so detailed, in fact, that scholars have used the placement of the constellations to calculate a specific date for the original star catalogue it was based upon, linking it directly to the work of the legendary astronomer Hipparchus from 2 centuries prior. Here, frozen in marble, is a tangible link to the mind of a genius, a demonstration of a sophisticated and systematic approach to understanding the night sky. This classical precision makes the earlier maps we discussed, like the Piri Reis chart showing an ice-free Antarctica, all the more baffling. The Farnese Atlas represents the pinnacle of known ancient science, a beautiful and logical system. How then do we explain maps that seem to possess knowledge surpassing even this? The contrast forces us to wonder if some ancient wisdom did not follow a slow, steady progression, but was instead a sudden, inexplicable flare of insight that later faded. This journey from the systematic mapping of the stars now leads us to an object that appears to ignore the very laws that govern the physical world. Isolated high on the Tibetan plateau, the Baigong pipes weave a mystery of iron and stone. In a stark, uninhabited region of China, reports detail a network of rust-colored iron pipes emerging from a mountain cave and running along the shore of a saltwater lake. Some of these tubes plunge directly into the earth, suggesting a complex, hidden system whose purpose is completely unknown. Their location is so remote and inhospitable that it is difficult to conceive of any conventional human settlement that could have built them. The immediate scientific explanation points to a natural phenomenon. Geologists propose these could be fossilized tree roots, where minerals carried by water slowly replaced the organic material over millions of years, leaving behind these hollow, metallic casts in the shape of the original root system. Others suggest they are simply unusual mineral veins, formations that can sometimes create surprisingly tube-like structures. Yet, the uniformity of their shape and their metallic composition continue to fuel speculation about a lost, advanced culture that might have inhabited the area in a distant, greener epoch. Could these pipes be the crumbling remains of an ancient plumbing system, or perhaps ventilation shafts for a long-vanished subterranean complex, without any accompanying artifacts, tools, or settlement ruins to provide context. The pipes stand alone. They are a riddle without a culture, a potential piece of technology divorced from any known civilization. This profound isolation makes them a perfect blank slate, inviting us to project our grandest theories about forgotten builders onto their silent, rusted forms. As we near the end of our journey, this theme of a single, inexplicable object in a lonely landscape prepares us for the final artifacts, discoveries that challenge not just our history, but our understanding of humanity itself. Carved into the soft sandstone walls of a secluded Australian valley, the Gosford glyphs present a sight that feels geographically impossible. Here, thousands of miles from the Nile, are inscriptions that appear unmistakably Egyptian. The panels feature figures of gods like Anubis, traditional boats, and arrays of hieroglyphic characters, telling a story of ancient Egyptian sailors who supposedly journeyed to this distant land, suffered a shipwreck, and buried their leader in this foreign soil. It is a narrative ripped from an adventure tale made tangible in rock. The academic world, however, has reached a near-unanimous verdict. Egyptologists point to glaring anachronisms, where glyphs from different time periods are mixed together haphazardly, and to grammatical errors that no literate scribe would ever make. The consensus is clear. This is not a genuine ancient inscription, but a modern hoax, likely carved in the latter half of the 20th century. Yet, the story possesses a stubborn life of its own. Local legends and passionate researchers continue to defend the glyphs, arguing that the academic dismissal is too swift, that the establishment is too quick to protect its own narrative from any challenge. This site has become far more than a collection of marks on a wall. It is a battleground over who gets to write history. It represents the powerful human desire to find connection across vast distances, to believe that the ancient world was smaller and more interconnected than we are taught. The Gosford glyphs ultimately force a difficult question. How do we separate our longing for a more exciting past from the hard, and sometimes disappointing, evidence? This final conflict between hope and proof sets the stage for our last artifact, a discovery so small you could hold it in your hand, yet one that carries the weight of a human soul from a time before recorded history. These grooved spheres from South Africa are the final and perhaps most profound mystery. Over 200 of these small, metallic objects have been unearthed from rock layers dated to an almost incomprehensible 2.8 billion years old. Each sphere is characterized by 3 perfectly parallel grooves etched around its equator, a feature that looks so deliberate, so designed, that it screams of intelligent manufacture. They were found in pyrophyllite deposits mined in the 1980s, a mineral formed in the Precambrian era, a time when Earth was a toxic, alien world. The most complex life forms were simple bacterial mats. There were no animals, no plants, not even multicellular organisms. The idea of a human, or even a human-like civilization, is a scientific impossibility. This is where the debate ignites. Mainstream geology offers a compelling explanation, classifying them as pyrite concretions. In this natural process, minerals like pyrite, also known as fool's gold, can crystallize around a central nucleus in a spherical shape. The grooves, they argue, could be the result of immense pressure recrystallizing the mineral along specific planes, a quirk of geology that mimics artificial design. Yet, for those who see the hand of a maker, the symmetry and consistency of the grooves defy a purely natural origin. How could random geological forces produce such uniform, parallel lines on hundreds of separate spheres? The true power of these objects lies not in proving one theory over another, but in the profound questions they force us to ask. What does manufactured even mean across such a vast gulf of time? If they are not natural, then who or what could have made them? The possibilities are as staggering as their age. They could be the relic of a non-human intelligence that arose and vanished in the deep mists of time, leaving only these enigmatic spheres as their signature. Or they might be the product of a completely unknown, non-biological process, a form of natural engineering that operates on scales we cannot yet comprehend. These small, grooved objects are more than just a curiosity. They are a direct challenge to our anthropocentric view of history and intelligence. They represent the absolute frontier of the knowable, pushing us to consider that the story of our world, and perhaps of creation itself, is far older and stranger than we have ever allowed ourselves to dream. These 25 artifacts form a constellation of questions across our historical sky. Each one, whether ultimately proven to be a misunderstood natural formation or a genuine relic of lost knowledge, serves a profound purpose. They collectively challenge the comforting simplicity of a straight line from primitive past to advanced present. Instead, they paint a picture of human history that is far more complex, punctuated by brilliant flashes of ingenuity that sometimes faded into obscurity. This pattern forces us to consider a different model of progress, one that is not a steady climb but a series of peaks and valleys, where entire libraries of knowledge can be lost in a single cataclysm or simply forgotten over centuries. At the same time, objects like the Bosnian spheres or the Coso artifact teach us a different, equally vital lesson about the power of our own perception. They remind us that our desire to find meaning can sometimes lead us to see design where there is only the slow, magnificent work of geology. This is not a failure, but a fundamental part of the human condition, the same drive that pushes us to explore and question in the first place. The true value of studying these enigmas, therefore, lies not in a final verdict on any single one. It lies in the dialogue they create. They force archaeologists, historians, and geologists to refine their methods, to question their assumptions, and to defend their conclusions. They push the entire field to be more rigorous, more imaginative, and more humble. For the rest of us, they ignite a sense of wonder. They transform history from a dry list of dates and kings into a living, breathing mystery story, where the next chapter could be unearthed tomorrow. These fragments from the past, in all their puzzling glory, do more than challenge what we know. They redefine the very act of discovery, showing it to be a perpetual conversation between our present curiosity and the enduring silence of the ages. From the intricate gears of the Antikythera Mechanism to the billion-year-old grooved spheres, these 25 artifacts collectively challenge the comfortable narrative of a linear and fully understood human past. They reveal a story not of steady, upward progress, but of a landscape dotted with brilliant and sometimes fleeting achievements. Our history is punctuated by flashes of genius that were lost for centuries, by connections across oceans that were later forgotten, and by questions carved in stone that we still cannot answer. This is not a history of simple answers, but one of profound and tantalizing gaps. While not every mysterious object signifies the ruins of a lost advanced civilization, each one serves a critical purpose. They are the splinters in the smooth surface of our timeline, forcing us to stop and re-examine our most basic assumptions about who we are and where we came from. The true value of these discoveries lies not in providing a neat and tidy answer, but in their power to keep the essential spirit of curiosity and healthy skepticism alive. They remind us that the past is not a closed book, but a dynamic puzzle, a magnificent tapestry with threads that are still being woven and patterns we are only beginning to see. History, in its truest form, is an invitation to wonder, to question, and to explore. I would love to hear which of these artifacts you find the most compelling. Share your thoughts in the comments below, And if you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, subscribe for more explorations into the deepest mysteries of our past.